only bootstrap. Like if you're building an e-commerce business, can you really build it bootstrap? It's unlikely. So many businesses can't, but there are, some businesses which are very tech heavy, where competition cannot just catch up on you by outspending you. So, in those kind of businesses, you can potentially build it bootstrap. And I think I'm not sure about family. But friends also, I'm not sure. So if you're really going and raising money out, family and friends kind of bring in some obligation of sorts. Mm-hmm. And I think bootstrapping is about building a business without having any external obligations of sorts. So, family and friends kind of bring in money, but if it's going to help you get a business from an idea to kind of an MVP by raising, some money from people, I think, I think you would still call yourself a bootstrap business. If you haven't gone out there and raised professional money of sorts. It's almost become impossible for startups to today build a business, even get to an MVP without raising capital, right? Mm-hmm. Because the cost of hiring, the cost of, it's just the cost of doing anything is so high that, unless you have like 5 to 10 crore rupees, it's really hard for anyone to build an MVP of sorts. So it's almost impossible today, I think, unless you come from from wealth or, you have money already from family or your own money, it's unlikely that you'll be able to bootstrap. So I think the way people should approach this whole bootstrapping now, in given today's context, is to think of money as an obligation. So when you raise money, the money brings an obligation. And how do you take on that obligation? By overselling or underselling, right? Because if I go meet an investor and I oversell the potential outcome of the business, that investor will then push me to get to that outcome which I promised, right? But if I'm able to go raise money by underselling a business, right? And, then that money comes with much lesser obligation. So it gives you more freedom to run your business more like a bootstrap business, right? If you were to, if say a startup comes to me and say, Nithin, I will get to 100 crores revenue in 3 years, then, he's obligated now to get to that, if not 100 crores to 50 crores, and, so then, he's forcing an investor to be like someone following up and asking even if someone gets to 50 crores, they're like, you didn't get to 100. That's what you had said in the start, right? But if he comes and raises money saying, I don't know where I'll be in 3 years from now, but this is the idea, this is a problem that I'm solving. And, your money will help us get from this point to this point. And whatever's outcome it will, in the sense, if you were to just, undersell the pitch, then, you'll get an investor who will potentially be more like a co-founder than a investor of sorts. So I would say in today's world, it's really hard to remain, to do anything bootstrap if you don't really come from wealth. So think of bootstrapping as like, think of investors more like, how you would, get family into the business of sorts. And don't oversell or, undersell and get them on the table versus trying. We are always, we have two choices, right? Either short-term outcomes or long-term outcomes, and we are always, I think, prioritizing short-term outcomes over long-term. Like if I'm on a diet, I see a piece of cake, I've forgotten the diet, I'm really bothered about that dopamine hit I get right now. So even I think in running a business, it's the same thing. It's about, can you prioritize what is right for the long-term over what is right for the short-term? Because that's what's going to eventually help the business, right? So if today, for example, I think we've celebrated all these valuation stories over the last 4 or 5 years. But if you think about it today, as an outcome of all that, there are a bunch of non-resilient, non-sustainable businesses out there, right? And also all that valuation hasn't really helped create sustainable businesses, right? So I think entrepreneurs should think of business more as 5 years and 10 years and not 12 months and 18 months, right? I think one of the, problems with the ecosystem that I've seen is that everyone is constantly thinking about 12-month, 18-month runway and then just doing whatever is right for the next 12 or 18 months, right? And then the kind of choices you make will be very different, right? If you're thinking really, really long term, then you wouldn't really, really worry about a little more dilution or, you'll not care about overselling or you'll not care about, you'll not take money from anyone, you'll think of 10 years saying, I want to take money from only a type of investor who believes for the next 10 years and not for the next 12, 18 months. So I think, but it's easier said than done. It's a big challenge. There is, with us, there has been a lot of right place, right time. We started the business at the right time. There was a lot of momentum in the Indian economy. India went digital, and we were just, there's so many times in this journey we were at the right place, right time. I keep talking about this to people in the office that if we were to start Zerodha today, it's impossible to do this bootstrapped, right? Because it's impossible that everything that happened in the last 10 years for us in terms of being at the right place, right time will repeat. And also the market's already so crowded today that today, if I had to build Zerodha again, it's, I have to take the path of raising as much money as possible, spending on marketing and advertising and all of that. Because there are already, entrenched competitors today, which weren't there. When we started the business for the first 3 or 4 years, there was not a single competitor who even came around to say, let me do what Zerodha is doing. Let me see if it's even working or not. So it'll be much harder today. The world's, I think, getting a lot more efficient. So it's those easy opportunities don't exist as many exist in India at least anymore. I'm not saying everyone should go build a bootstrap business because it's really hard today. But think of even if you were to go raise money, think of money as an obligation. Then you will automatically think of underselling to your investor and doing what is right for the customer.